Retirement is the most expensive lie you have ever been sold, and the math behind it was never designed to work for you. You were promised a finish line, work hard for 40 years, save what you can, and one day you get to stop. But the finish line keeps moving. And quietly, the whole system is built so that for most people, it never arrives at all. This isn't bad luck. It isn't laziness. It's design. And once you see the design, you can finally stop running blind. By the end of this, you'll understand why you were built to work until you die, and the narrow door the few who escape walk through. First, where did the promise even come from? Because retirement, the way you picture it, is surprisingly new. For almost all of history, there was no such thing. You worked until your body gave out, and then your family carried you. Then, about a century ago, a number was invented, 65. Work until then, and the state or your company would take care of the rest. It was a beautiful idea. It was also built for a world that no longer exists, a world where people barely lived past that number. Back then, only a few reached retirement, and they didn't last long. The math was easy. Today, you might live 30 years after you stop working. 30 years of spending with no income. Nobody tells you how enormous that number really is. Here's the first trap. The amount you need to retire isn't a fixed number. It runs away from you every single year. Remember why? Every year, new money is printed, and the money you've saved quietly buys less. We've watched this machine for 3 episodes now. So the freedom number you calculated in your 20s is a fantasy by the time you're 50. What looked like enough isn't even close. A comfortable retirement that needed one pile of money a generation ago needs several piles now, and it will need more by the time you arrive. You are trying to fill a bucket while the system drills a small, steady hole in the bottom. You can pour faster, most people do, but you rarely stop to ask why the bucket is leaking in the first place. So they tell you, just save harder, put it in the bank, be responsible. And on the surface, your savings do grow, but the interest the bank pays you is almost always smaller than the value the printing takes away. You're earning 3 while losing 6. It feels like progress. The number gets bigger, but what that number can actually buy is shrinking the whole time. This is the cruel magic of it. You can do everything right, follow every rule, and still go slowly backwards. For a working lifetime of saving, many people end up with just enough to last a few years, not 30, a few. And when those years run out, there's only one option the system has left for you, the one it quietly planned on all along. Go back to work. Now here's the part that sounds like a conspiracy until you follow the money. The system doesn't actually want you to stop. An economy runs on people working, spending, and paying tax. A person who stops doing all 3 is to the machine a cost. So everything is gently tilted to keep you in motion. Prices rise so you can never quite coast. Rest is made to feel irresponsible. And there's a deeper problem the brochures never mention. The promise to the old is paid by the young, but there are fewer young people every year. Fewer workers, more retirees. The pot that was supposed to carry you is being asked to stretch further than it was ever built to. So the finish line gets pushed back. Retire later, work longer, expect less. Not because anyone's cruel, because the math demands it. The treadmill was never going to let you off. It was designed to keep you running, all the way to the end. So who gets off? Look closely, and it's never the people who simply saved the hardest. It's the people who stopped trading their time for money and started owning things that earn without them. A business that runs while they sleep, a piece of property that pays rent, a share of a company that grows without their hands. This is the same secret from the very first episode. The rich don't work for money. They build machines that make money, and then they own the machines. A worker earns, then the printing shrinks it. An owner holds things that rise as the printing happens. Same storm, opposite side of the window. It isn't about being born rich. It's about which side of that line you quietly spend your life on, earning it or owning it. So look at the trap honestly. You trade your one finite life, hour by hour, for a currency that is designed to shrink, and you do it chasing a finish line that the same system keeps quietly walking backwards. The way out was never to run faster on the treadmill. It was to step off it and start building something that runs for you. You don't need to be rich to start. You need to stop feeding the machine every spare coin and start owning a piece of one instead. Because the goal was never to work until you die. It was to build something that's still working long after you've stopped. We followed the money from the bank to the printer, to the grave of the dollar, to the treadmill under your feet. The machine is finally visible. The only question left is whether you feed it or build your own. Subscribe, and let's keep pulling the curtain back.